The moment Zaylah and Kylah Cross walked through the revolving glass doors of the Grand Aurelia Hotel, the lobby fell quiet in a way that wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of quiet that presses down on you. The girls were 6 years old, identical twins with wide, dark eyes, soft brown skin dusted with the kind of natural glow you can't buy, and matching curls pulled into 2 puffs each, one wearing a tiny denim jacket, the other in a pink hoodie that was slightly too big. They held hands the way twins do, instinctively, like their fingers were wired together from birth. They stood just inside the entrance, looking around at the chandelier ceiling, at the marble floors that reflected gold from the evening lights, at the towering flower arrangements that were bigger than both of them combined. Zaylah whispered something to Kylah. Kylah giggled. They had never seen anything like this. They were waiting for their mother, Camille Cross, who had just parked the car and was hurrying through the rain outside, her only umbrella broken at the joint, holding it awkwardly to keep the worst of the downpour off her blazer. She'd saved 4 months for this one night, a birthday treat, one night in a luxury hotel to celebrate the girls turning 6. That's all it was supposed to be. One beautiful night. But before Camille even made it through those doors, before the family was even together, a security guard appeared from the side corner.
You need to leave!
A large man in a black uniform,
Now.
silver badge catching the chandelier light. He walked with that particular swagger of someone who has been given just enough authority to make him dangerous. His name badge read, Officer Hardworking. He looked at the twins, took in their wet shoes, their discount store jackets, the small rolling suitcase Zaylah was dragging behind her. Then he looked around the lobby at the guests in expensive coats, at the staff who had gone very still, and made a decision. Officer Harland, hey, you two, where are your parents? Zaylah answered politely, the way her mama had taught her. Zaylah, our mama's coming, she's parking the car. Officer Harland, and does your mama have a reservation here? Kylah, yes, sir, we're staying tonight, it's our birthday. He looked down at them for a long moment. Then he reached out and took hold of the suitcase handle, right out of Zaylah's hand, and started pulling it toward the exit doors. Officer Harland, I'm going to need you both to wait outside. This is a luxury hotel. We can't have unaccompanied minors loitering in the lobby. And just like that, in full view of a lobby full of guests and staff, 2 6-year-old girls were being pushed toward the exit. Zaylah grabbed for the suitcase handle back. Kylah's chin started to tremble. Zaylah, but it's raining, and our mama. Officer Harland, I said outside. The doors opened. The cold, wet air rushed in, and Harland physically gestured them out, 2 little girls, alone into the rain. The lobby watched. No one moved. If this opening already has your blood boiling, you're not alone. Hit like, subscribe, and drop in the comments where you're watching from. These stories travel far, and I want to know where you are. Now let's keep going, because this story is just getting started. Camille Cross was 34 years old, and she had spent most of those years working. She'd worked since she was 16, bagging groceries after school while her friends went to football games. She'd worked through community college and a nursing certification, through 2 pregnancy complications, and a delivery that almost cost her life, through the quiet devastation of a man who left when the twins were 18 months old and never looked back. She worked doubles at Mercy General 3 nights a week. She cleaned houses on the weekend. She clipped coupons and packed lunches and bought clothes a size too big so the girls could grow into them. She was not a woman who asked for much. This trip had been different. She'd found a promotional rate, 70% off at the Grand Aurelia, 2 nights minimum, and the rate for 1 night had been something she could actually make work if she sacrificed the electricity deposit she'd been saving. She'd done it. She'd booked it. She'd wrapped a printed confirmation email in a ribbon and given it to the girls 3 weeks before their birthday. They had counted down every single night. She came through the revolving doors, shaking rain off her broken umbrella, water dripping from her chin, blazer soaked through at the shoulders, and she froze. Because her daughters were not in the lobby. She looked left. She looked right. She looked at the front desk where a young blonde receptionist was very carefully looking at her computer screen. Camille, excuse me, where are the two little girls who just came in? Twins, curly hair. The receptionist looked up, and something flashed across her face, guilt, or something close to it before she smoothed it away. Receptionist, Officer Harland asked them to wait outside. Camille turned around so fast, she almost slipped on the marble. She hit the doors at a near run. They were standing just under the hotel's awning, pressed back against the wall, suitcase between them. The rain was blowing sideways. Kylah was crying, the silent kind, where tears just fall and she doesn't make a sound because she's been told too many times that crying in public embarrasses people. Zaylah had her arm around her twins' shoulders, standing very straight, chin up, the way kids stand when they're determined not to fall apart. She was 6 years old, standing in the rain in front of a luxury hotel, trying to be brave for her sister. Some children learn to carry grief before they learn to carry anything else. Camille dropped to her knees on the wet pavement and pulled both of them in. Camille, baby, I'm here, I'm right here. What happened? Zaylah, the man said we couldn't be inside. He said it was a luxury hotel. There was something about the way Zaylah said it, like she was trying to understand what it meant, like she was young enough to wonder if maybe they simply didn't belong in places like this. That broke Camille open from the inside. She stood up. She straightened her soaked blazer. She took both her daughters by the hand and walked back through those revolving doors. The lobby fell quiet again as the three of them walked in, the mother dripping, the twins in damp shoes, the broken umbrella folded under Camille's arm like a weapon she hadn't decided whether to use. Officer Harland was at the far end of the lobby, talking to a colleague near the concierge desk. He turned when he heard the doors, and his expression didn't change, not even a flicker of discomfort. Officer Harland, ma'am, I'm going to need you to. Camille, my name is Camille Cross. I have a confirmed reservation at this hotel, confirmation number GRA 77452, booked 4 months ago. My daughters are 6 years old today. They have not done a single thing wrong, and you put them out in the rain. The lobby had gone completely still. A man in a business suit near the elevator pretended to check his phone. A woman with a fur stole turned very slowly toward the front desk like she was watching a performance she hadn't paid for but wasn't going to leave. Officer Harland, ma'am, there's no need to cause a scene. We have standards to maintain in this establishment. Camille, standards. She said the word like she was holding it up to the light, examining what it was made of. There is a particular kind of courage in a woman who refuses to make herself smaller to make the room more comfortable. Camille, my daughters are wearing clean clothes. They spoke politely. They told you I was coming. They told you it was their birthday, and you put them outside in the cold because of your standards. Harland stepped forward and lowered his voice in that way men do when they want to make a woman feel like the scene is her fault. Officer Harland, I'm going to ask you one more time to lower your voice, or I will have to escort all 3 of you off the premises. Camille, you will not touch my children again. It was quiet. It was firm. It was the voice of a woman who had worked nights and weekends and doubles and sacrificed her electricity deposit for one beautiful night for her daughters, and she was not backing down. Near the concierge desk, a woman in a gray wool coat had set her handbag down on the counter and turned fully toward the scene, not moving, not yet, but turned, watching, her hand resting still on the leather. The lobby felt it. The calculation had shifted. Harland took another step forward. And then the elevator doors at the far end of the lobby opened. He stepped out alone. No entourage, no assistant trailing behind him with a tablet, just a tall Korean man in a dark charcoal suit that fit the way expensive things fit, effortlessly, like it had been made for no one else. His shoes were quiet on the marble. His face was calm. His eyes moved across the lobby in a single, sweeping assessment that took in everything: the dripping woman, the 2 wet children, the security guard mid-step with his hand raised, and he stopped. Completely still. Seo Jin-Hwa had been running Aurelia Group for 11 years. He'd built his first hotel at 31 from a single investor, a borrowed idea, and a level of self-discipline that most people mistook for coldness. He had stood in boardrooms with men who tried to break him with silence and had simply waited them out. He was not a man who frightened easily, and he was not a man who missed things. He took in the scene. He took in the twins, two little girls, wet shoes, birthday puff hairstyles wilting from the rain. He took in the mother, blazer-soaked, chin raised, refusing to be small. He took in Harland, who had not yet noticed him and was still advancing. And then he spoke. His voice was not loud. It did not need to be. Seo Jin-Hwa, Harland. The lobby snapped to attention, like a cord had been pulled. Harland turned, and for the first time since the whole incident began, his composure cracked. Officer Harland, Mr. Seo, I was just managing a situation with some guests who... Seo Jin-Hwa, I can see what you were doing. He walked across the lobby, slowly, the kind of slow that is more dangerous than fast. He stopped at the center of the scene, equidistant between Harland and Camille, and looked at the twins first. Kylah had stopped crying. She was staring at him with enormous eyes. He crouched down, right there on the marble floor of the Grand Aurelia Hotel lobby, in his charcoal suit and his quiet, expensive shoes. Seo Jin-Hwa got down to eye level with two 6-year-old girls. Seo Jin-Hwa, what are your names? A beat of surprise, then Zaylah answered. Zaylah, I'm Zaylah, she's Kylah. Seo Jin-Hwa, Zaylah and Kylah, is today your birthday? Kylah, yes, we're 6. Seo Jin-Hwa, 6, that is a very important age. Seo Jin-Hwa, this place belongs to you as much as anyone. He stood up. He turned to face Harland with an expression that was perfectly, absolutely controlled, the most frightening kind. Seo Jin-Hwa, you removed 2 children from this lobby, children who had a confirmed reservation, on their birthday. Officer Harland, sir, I was applying guest standards. Seo Jin-Hwa, these 2 children are guests of my hotel. You put them in the rain. The word, my, landed in the room like a stone dropped into still water. My hotel. The blonde receptionist looked up from her computer. The man with the phone lowered it. The woman with the fur stole went completely still. Harland's face drained. Officer Harland, I didn't realize, the situation appeared. Seo Jin-Hwa, you will speak with HR first thing tomorrow morning. Tonight you will not approach this family again. Do you understand? Harland nodded, once, and then he walked away very quickly toward the service corridor. The lobby did not watch him go. The man near the elevator had turned back to his phone. The woman with the fur stole had found something worth examining in the middle distance. A bellhop behind the luggage rack became very focused on a zipper pull. His footsteps were the only sound, quick and retreating, and then even those disappeared behind the service door, and he was simply gone. What remained was the space where he had stood. The empty marble, the chandelier light falling on it without apology, and 2 little girls in damp shoes standing at the center of a room that had nothing left to say. This moment right here, if you felt that, if that scene gave you chills, you are not alone. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment, what would you have done if you were standing in that lobby? I read every single comment. Don't go anywhere, the best part is still coming. Seo Jin turned to Camille. She was looking at him with an expression that was hard to read, gratitude and wariness and something else, something held back carefully. She was a woman who had learned not to need rescuing, and being rescued felt complicated. Seo Jin, I'm sorry. On behalf of this hotel and everything it should stand for, I am genuinely sorry for what happened to your daughters tonight. Camille looked at him for a long moment. Camille, thank you for stepping in. I want you to know I was handling it. Something moved across his face. It might have been the beginning of a smile. Seo Jin, I could see that. He called the front desk manager over, a flustered woman named Diane, and spoke quietly to her for 30 seconds. Diane nodded rapidly and disappeared. Seo Jin, Diane will upgrade your room. We have a suite on the 14th floor, 2 bedrooms, a living room. There's a bathtub the girls may enjoy. Dinner tonight will be on the hotel, whatever they would like. And tomorrow morning, we will arrange a birthday breakfast. Kylah, a real birthday breakfast, with pancakes. Seo Jin, with whatever you like. Zaylah, what about strawberries? Seo Jin, I will personally make sure there are strawberries. Kylah looked at her mother. Her mother looked at this calm, serious man who had just promised her daughter strawberries with the same gravity he probably used to close international business deals. And despite everything, despite the rain, and the humiliation, and the broken umbrella and the soaked blazer, Camille Cross smiled. It was a small smile, quiet and real, the kind that happens before you've decided to let it. Here is a question worth sitting with, she accepted. The sweet, the dinner, the apology. And I wonder if you do the same, or whether accepting feels like letting a hotel escape the weight of what it did with a king-sized bed and a plate of strawberries. I'm not going to answer that. You tell me. The 14th floor suite had floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out over the city, and when the twins saw it, they went completely silent for 3 full seconds, which, for 6-year-olds, is an eternity. Then Zaylah grabbed Kylah's hand, and they ran straight to the window. Zaylah, Mama, you can see everything. Camille stood in the doorway, suitcase in hand, and looked at her daughters pressed against the glass with their hands and noses leaving prints, looking out at a city lit up like something from a fairy tale. In the corridor behind her, the blonde receptionist had followed them up, not assigned to this floor, not carrying anything, just standing a few feet back. She caught Camille's eye and took one small step forward, her mouth moving briefly. I'm sorry, 4 words, barely voice, then she turned and left. Camille sat down on the edge of the enormous bed and cried. Quickly, quietly, her face turned away so the girls wouldn't see. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She breathed. She thought about what it had cost her to get here. Not just the money, the hope. The hope was harder to carry than the money was. Hope made you vulnerable. Hope meant that when things went wrong, they went wrong somewhere soft. But here were her daughters, faces pressed against glass on the 14th floor, and it was their birthday, and they were safe. That was enough. The hard part was getting here. This, right now, is what you worked for. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. It read, Ms. Cross, dinner reservations made for 7 p.m. in the Aurelia dining room. Please let us know if the girls have any food allergies or preferences. SJH. She stared at the initials. Then she looked up at the ceiling and laughed, soft and disbelieving, at the sheer strangeness of the night. She hadn't expected him to be there. The Aurelia dining room was all warm amber light and white tablecloths, and the low murmur of people who ate here regularly, who treated this as ordinary. A waiter led them to a window table with a view, and Seo Jin-Hwa was already seated, jacket off, sleeves rolled to the elbow, a glass of water in front of him, reading something on his phone that he set face down the moment they arrived. He stood when they approached. The twins stared up at him. Zaylah, you're eating with us. Seo Jin, if that's all right with your mother. Zaylah looked at her mother. Her mother cleared her throat. Camille, that's fine. They ordered. The twins got pasta because they always got pasta, and then also asked for 3 other things each, and Seo Jin-Hwa said yes to all of them without hesitation, and Camille tried to protest, and he quietly said that it was their birthday and she should let them have it, and something about the way he said it, not commandingly, just simply, as if it were obvious, made her stop arguing. They talked. Not about the incident, that came later, and gently. They talked about the girls, about Kylah's insistence that she would one day be a marine biologist who also did gymnastics, about Zaylah's very firm belief that dinosaurs should be brought back, but only the friendly ones, and when Seo Jin asked seriously which dinosaurs she considered friendly, she gave him a very detailed answer that made him listen with complete attention. Camille watched him with her daughters and felt something complicated move in her chest. He wasn't performing patience. He wasn't enduring them with adult politeness. He was actually listening. Later, after the twins had gone after the dessert cart with the kind of focus usually reserved for competitive athletes, he leaned forward slightly and spoke quietly. "Seo Jin, what do you do, Ms. Cross?" "Camille, I'm a nurse, and I clean houses on weekends." She said it plainly, without apology, watching to see if anything shifted in his face. Nothing did. "Seo Jin, my mother cleaned houses. In Dijian when I was young. I used to wait for her outside buildings that looked very much like this one." Camille looked at him. "Camille, that's why you stopped." He didn't answer immediately. He looked out the window at the city lights reflected in the rain-wet street below. "Seo Jin, I had told myself I built this hotel so no one would ever have to wait outside one again." A beat of silence settled between them, not uncomfortable, the kind of silence that means two people have understood each other. 3 days later, Camille received an email from the Aurelia Group's chief operations officer. Officer Harland had been terminated, effective immediately, following a formal review of the evening's incident, corroborated by lobby security footage. The Grand Aurelia Hotel's guest standards policies were being reviewed and updated under direct instruction from the CEO. All front-of-house staff would undergo mandatory implicit bias training. A formal letter of apology had been drafted and would be mailed to her home address. At the bottom of the email was a personal note. It read, "The girls are welcome back anytime. I promise strawberries and I don't make promises I don't keep. Jin HWA." She read it twice, then she saved it. She didn't know what it meant yet. She wasn't the kind of woman who jumped to conclusions or let herself want things that seemed too far outside the life she'd built. She was practical. She was careful. She had 2 daughters who needed her grounded. But she saved the email. In the months after, something small but permanent had changed in the girls. Zaylah had started walking into rooms differently, head level, taking things in, as if she already knew she had the right to be there. At school, when a substitute teacher mispronounced her name and didn't correct it, she said, clearly without heat, "It's Zaylah. Would you like me to say it again?" Kylah had started telling people, unprompted, that she had once stayed in a hotel suite where you could see the whole city. She said it the way people say things that are simply true, not a story, a fact about who she was. The girls were in school, arguing about something involving a stuffed animal and a perceived injustice that Zaylah felt very strongly about, when Camille's phone rang. She almost didn't answer. She didn't recognize the number. But something, call it instinct, call it the particular vibration of a phone that means something real is on the other end, made her pick up. "Seo Jin, Ms. Cross. It's Jin HWA. I hope this isn't a bad time." She sat down at the kitchen table. "Camille, how did you get this number?" "Seo Jin, the hotel reservation form. I realize that may seem." "Camille, unusual, yes." "Seo Jin, I wanted to ask if I could take you to dinner. Not the girls this time, just you." Silence on the line. Camille looked at the small framed photo on the kitchen wall, the twins at the hotel window, faces pressed against the glass city lights behind them. She'd printed it from her phone. It was her favorite photograph from the last year, maybe from longer. "Camille, I'm a nurse who works doubles and cleans houses on weekends. I have 6-year-old twins who talk constantly and have very strong opinions about dinosaurs." "Seo Jin, I know." "Camille, I'm not looking for complicated Jin HWA." "Seo Jin HWA, I'm not offering complicated, I'm offering dinner." Another silence, longer this time. Then, "Camille, Friday, but I have to be home by 9. "Seo Jin HWA, I'll have you home by 8:30. She hung up and sat very still for a moment. From the other room, Zaylah's voice rose in triumph over whatever injustice had been corrected. Kylah laughed, big and unguarded, the kind of laugh that started in her whole body. The afternoon light came through the kitchen window at that particular angle it sometimes hit in autumn, golden and unhurried. Camille Cross allowed herself, very quietly, to feel something like hope. Not desperate hope, Not the fragile, expensive kind she'd carried into the Grand Aurelia on a rainy night with a broken umbrella and 4 months of savings. Something steadier. Something that had been earned. The kind of hope that doesn't cost you your electricity deposit. The kind that just arrives. On the morning of Zaylah and Kylah's 7th birthday, a box was delivered to their apartment. Inside, 2 matching charm bracelets, each with a tiny gold hotel key on it, and a card written in careful, deliberate English that had clearly been composed with effort. It said, "Zaylah and Kylah, last year I made a promise about strawberries. This year I make a different promise, that the world has more good in it than the part you saw that night. You are smart and brave, and you deserve every beautiful room you walk into. Happy birthday. Jin-Hwa." Zaylah read it aloud to Kylah. Kylah immediately announced she was keeping her bracelet forever and ever. Zaylah asked if the hotel man was going to be their new dad. Camille said to go eat their breakfast. Zaylah said that meant probably yes. Kylah said that was fine because he knew about strawberries. Somewhere in a 14th floor office in the Grand Aurelia, Seo Jin-Hwa read something on his phone and smiled. She was glad. And that right there is why I love telling these stories. Because sometimes in the middle of all the wrong in the world, something gets corrected. Something gets seen. If this story moved you, if you watched the whole thing, subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment telling me which moment hit you hardest. Was it the lobby, the dinner, the birthday card? Tell me. Share this with someone who needs to see that justice is real. And I'll see you in the next story. Thank you for being here.